Well, welcome back to the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast, coming to you live from Azalea Station in Wilmington, North Carolina. I am your co-host, Tyler Yaw, with
Chris Kellum.
And our special guest today is
Kimberly Rhine.
Thank you so much for coming on here today. And before we get started, Chris, what are all of us sipping on?
So Tyler and I went back to a classic old-fashioned with Old Forester.
Perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
I went with the Orange Crush. I figured some vodka, orange juice, and Sprite would be nice and refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect for Sunday afternoon.
Especially if you're a little hungover.
Guilty.
Yeah. Well, cheers.
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 Old school.
Never go wrong with an old-fashioned.
I haven't had one since summer started. Just because it's so hot outside, I'm like,
We're not selling a lot of bourbon right now either, or red wine.
That
I call it the
makes
porch
sense.
pounder season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Aperol
cold
spritz.
drafts. Yeah, exactly.
So talking about that, tell everyone who may not know you already who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Kimberly Rhine. I am owner of Freya's Haus. We are located at the corner of Scotts Hill Loop Road and 17. It's right next to Poplar Grove, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool. The property's beautiful. The trees are kind of what drew me in. We're a mixed-use facility, more so with the premise of being a bar, but having events that range anywhere from kids' cupcakes and goat yoga to we have the Nautical Girls Showcase on the 17th, which those are more of a pull-heavy and dance-based.
Awesome. Makes sense.
Nice.
So with that being said, too, the reason why we reached out and why we're having you on when we are is we just had Kayla and John on the podcast, and kind of tell our audience who may not have listened to last week's episode a little about what they're doing in your venue.
Yeah, they've been doing a yoga and sound bath. So basically you're doing a yoga class and John's running amazing music. But while that's happening, he's using the sound system to use Hertz. It's basically like a high audio. That one's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but basically it has healing vibrations. So you do this really awesome yoga class led by Kayla, followed by a sound bath. And the room is just kind of booming. We have beautiful high ceilings and some spray foam insulation, which creates this really great acoustic sound. And just getting their yoga flow on. And then we end with cocktails, a lot of THC beverages, and we also have tea and espresso. But yeah, it's been really cool. They're super talented, and it's been really nice connecting with other people that are very dedicated. They get there hours early and set up a crazy sound system, and it's just been really cool. And to see so many people come together that are like-minded.
That's neat.
Nice.
So how long have you had Freya's Haus for at this point, and what made you want to jump in and do that?
So we've been open a little less than a year. It kind of feels more so like 6 months because I fully renovated the building. I have a soon-to-be 1-year-old and 4-year-old, but I signed my lease and then got pregnant 2 months later. And I'm very talented. I can do a lot of things, but I cannot be pregnant. I get sick every day, all day. So my 6 to 8 month renovation took about a year. Also paying rent for 5 months. So it was just me. After my father passed, I decided to use part of my inheritance to start something that could be something that I enjoyed and could better serve my community. I lost my dad to mental health, so I wanted to create a open space for people. But long story short, we opened in a September. We're only open on the weekends. And then my partner is Special Forces, and he left 2 months early, so he was projected to leave in January. We opened again in September. I had a baby in August, and then he left actually on his birthday in November. So I didn't really have a business model, but that was not a part of it.
Right.
So, but we're here now.
I was saying, it seems like it all kind of worked its way out and everything, though. I see a lot of people that are going over there and kind of posting about it and everything. So it seems like it's starting to take off. Are you kind of happy with where it's at now? Or?
Most definitely. John's been home for about 2 months since this deployment started, and my youngest is able to do more with a babysitter. So before you used to see me bartending and a baby carrier and nursing while bartending. So it's been really cool to take some time away. I never imagined myself being a bartender with a baby. Like, there's a baby in a bar. But that's kind of the thing too, is welcoming other families. Being that we serve alcohol, that's not the baseline of it. It's more of like a watering hole. So if you want to come drink, get a tea, bring your dog, your kid. You don't have to drink. We have food trucks throughout the week, so that's a big add-on for myself.
Right.
But I don't think I would have made it through that deployment without someone cooking for me. But yeah, it's been really cool, and the girls are doing great. So.
And you've kind of been like a staple, like in the service industry and everything. I've seen you at a bunch of different places, and you've told us about a few other places that you've been at before. What was kind of the, I guess, leading factor to like, you know what, I think I'm ready to take a step out on my own?
I think I was reading some of the questions you had sent over prior, and being able to open up my own business kind of started when I joined the junior league, and I was seeing all these incredible women doing all these really hard tasks while also working full time and working for themselves. And I just was like a little lost. I actually applied to be a liquor rep, having worked in the industry forever, and I didn't receive the job. And I was like, I didn't even really want that job. Like, what am I going to do? Right. And my dad had passed, so I hadn't worked in a while. And at that time, I had my first child. And I'd always passed this beautiful building, and no one did anything with it. So I was like, you know what? If other people can do it, then why don't I try? And it is nice. And to be honest, like, if having the fallback that I do have, the finances for that, was a lot easier. Like, I couldn't imagine having those loan payments coming in. I did everything cash forward, and there's certain things that I was too cheap on that I'll have to fix. But I wanted to do it all without the stressor on my family, and just really plan things and do it incrementally. I think we've seen probably 20 new bars open and probably 10 to 15 close all at the same time. So,
and I like that you showcase, like, hey, you wanted to do this, but you didn't jump out and like say, hey, let's open a bar, and then maybe it'll shutter. Your goal is to have a spot for people for years to come, hopefully.
Certainly. I have a 5-year lease with 2 unilateral 5-year extensions. So essentially I can be there for 15 years. I really love Poplar Grove area and just the history behind it. So hopefully there's room to grow with that. But having no tenant improvement and doing it all, you have to at least make the return back. But that is kind of why I started that. I've always been involved in charity work since I was younger, and that maintained through the sorority that I was in. We were really big with Make-A-Wish Foundation, and after some kind of dark times in my life, I've turned to charity to kind of help me through that, whether it's the pat on the back comes to myself and helping others. But they always struggle finding a venue for their space, and that's something that's really expensive. So I figure I could combine my talents of bartending and love for that with providing a free space for them. I really believe in being symbiotic, and that's helped my business model. I, for the most part, don't charge for the space, and I've worked with a bunch of entrepreneurs that I don't think have the support, or maybe like they're not ready to step out on their own. But I'm like, I will market it for you. Let's make an event, bring it in, and they make money, I make money. So I can help out the community and pay my bills. So
That's perfect.
Yeah, I know exactly where Freya's house is, because I'm one of those people that my wife hates it. Every time I'm driving down the road, I'm like, oh, that'd be a really great bar. That'd be a good this. She's like, we don't have the money for that yet.
But knowing real estate is like half the battle. Like, you can't just pick a spot. Like, what's around it? What is growing? We have a lot of new bars in my area that are family friendly, and it's beautiful. So hopefully, like, I don't view it as competition. I think we all create something different. But if we can make it a mecca in that area, there's no reason to go other places. So do a bar crawl where we go to 8 of the same bars, and like, everyone should be different. And if you're proud and happy with what you do, those people will come to you. So.
Yeah, and that's what I love, is that like that side of town, like you mentioned, doesn't really have anything. Because I mean, I've grown up here my whole life, and we had a bar in Ogden, and
Ogden Tap Room.
And then you went up, and there's like, okay, well, you
Beach House.
Yeah, right. That's it.
I'm old too.
I forget all the names because they've changed, and I'm like, what is the name of this one now?
7 Mile.
Yes. Right. Yeah. But it's hard for those families who are like, well, I want to go have a drink and see my friends, but I don't want to drive all the way into town.
Certainly.
And get stuck with traffic and all this other mess. So I think helping like be that anchor, as I would say, like your location is a good spot for families and friends and people to just kind of like, hey, we can start here and work our way home, or start here and work our way into town.
I'm trying to market it now as the traffic spot because that traffic is egregious. 5 to 7, get a snack, take home a bottle of wine. Like, babe, I didn't want to stop at the bar, but I had to. I brought you a 6-pack. So we have a lot of cool stuff that's going out. And being that I'm trying to be not a bar, more of a communal center, we have like kids' toys. And I mean like your worn out in the sun Fisher-Price toys. So if someone breaks it, it's fine. Like, kids come and the first time they're there, they're a little feral, but it's age appropriate and I embrace it. By the third time they come, it's bad, but they're kind of like dogs. You have to socialize them. So by time 3, they're doing great. They're playing together, and some of them actually really look forward to it. My 4-year-old's there often, and she has friends that she's made up and down the loop.
Oh, that's cool.
They now go to camp together, and it's been really cool to provide that. Like I kind of say, if you see something there you need like a kid's toy, take it. It's also one less thing I have to clean up. But yeah.
But I like that. Like most places, like in general, in a bar, you don't want people taking your stuff because that's expensive. But in your space, you're making it a community spot. Mm-hmm. So like, hey, if you need this, take it. But I'm also assuming you'll bring something in replace.
They do feel really good about that. A lot of moms are like, can I bring that? And they're like, it's out of my space and I'm doing good. So it is cool.
Yeah.
So I guess first question is, where did the name Freya's House come from?
Freya is the Norse god of war and love, and I wanted to name our first set. He did not. So the name kind of stuck around for me, and he's Special Forces and has lost some buddies, 2 of which when I was pregnant with McKenna, who I wanted to be Freya. Mm-hmm. And I was originally in school for sexual behavioral health. It's a big passion of mine, and I used to be like a fine nude and bathing suit model. So Freya's one of her sayings used to be like, if you can't lay 'em, slay 'em. But she also helped women with infertility. She had this cloak that she'd wrap around them, help them. She was big in apothecary, and I'm a big hippie, the cleaner ingredient, crunchy light. But so I just figured like, she's a goddess of war and love. Also, Nordic stuff is like trendy right now for marketing. Right. Like I'm a big nerd. I loved that. So I stuck with Freya's, and the house aspect was German. It's Haus. I'm German. My last name is Rhine. And after my dad passed, I went on a big Euro trip, part of which was to Munich. And I just saw all these like really cool communal spaces. Like if you go there, it's not a table for you and I. It's a table for everybody. Right. And so I wanted to create that same aspect. So when you come there, like, you're welcome to my house. You are welcome. It's a home. It's supposed to feel cozy. We have friends seating areas, and then we have like a kids table, juice boxes, Uncrustables, and then we have chocolate mushrooms. So they're legal, by the way.
Right.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know a lot. I will admit that sometimes. But you mentioned you guys have like CBD drinks, and so like I've seen that around town. You tell me a little bit more about that, because all I know is alcohol.
Yeah. So I honestly myself was not super heady on it. I picked it up just for a product. A few people had asked for it. I'm a flower girl myself, but I was like, well, these seem silly. You know, like, it's a drink. Like, what do you mean? And I actually had a cold during a fall festival for my daughter. So I was like, I'm just going to drink these instead of like the Mick Ultras or White Claws that everyone was drinking. And it was kind of a euphoric feeling. So there's a breakdown now of CBD, THC, and then there's like Delta 8 and Delta 9. Right. I like to tell people THC is more for the mind. Like, I got a spicy brain. I needed to chill. Whereas CBD is more for the body and inflammation, both of which are very helpful. So some beverages are that. D8 is a little bit more artificial to me, and D9 is a little bit cleaner. I still don't know, like, one is lit on fire, one is prematurely. They're just finding caveats to be able to provide hemp to us. But we have a broad range. I'm actually working with Mars to create my own seltzer. I'm really passionate about the cannabis industry. I think I can't take Adderall. I'm nursing. I have ADHD. So flower has been something that has helped me immensely throughout my life, and I think people should have access to it. You can have a few of those drinks in one cocktail and be fine, and you're not going to need to take dandelion root and kill your liver. I've been in the service industry for forever, and I've seen and lost a lot of people from like liver issues and just poor decisions. Alcohol, it doesn't always bring out the best in me, or I think many, but it is fun if you find that sweet spot. So if you can drink some and still feel social, some people just want to have that drink in their hand. It's actually one of my best to-go sellers, and because I'm so annoyingly obnoxious. Like, we'll come with old people, and I'm like, hey, our beers are there, the weed's there. What? But if you don't make it seem as taboo, it can become such.
Right.
And that's what we're really trying to do. We probably have 15 to 20 different flavor options, and they range from 2.5 milligrams to 30. If you are worried about THC, CBD actually counteracts it. So some of them have both in them. So it's just a euphoric feeling, and your body's not as sore. So we do have those, and we have pre-rolls and gummies, and THCA is not for human consumption, just to buy.
Right.
Potpourri, I guess.
Say, just to hang out with.
We have a lot of potpourri here.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
I like that.
It's got to be, it's shocking to me that hemp, I actually wanted to do some of my installation with hemp. It's a brilliant resource.
Oh, yeah.
It's cost effective. It maintains mold. We get a lot of water here, but I was poor. So
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I've seen like hemp products are actually really good when it comes to like building supplies and like natural things out there, but it is so much more expensive.
Because they want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
They actually like alcohol. Weird fun fact, the drinking age can be 18, but you will not receive federal funding. And then even like with tobacco, like they're the ones fighting that. North Carolina used to be a huge hemp grower, and even still, it's so good for the soil.
Right.
So if they make it expensive and tax it, then you won't use it as much. Until they figure out how to monetize it, then they're not gonna. I mean, even the
Sounds
gambling
right.
that they've started now.
Right, exactly.
I can't game play or whatever.
They had to make sure they could make money off of it.
That's
Do
why
you
we still have an
Keno?
ABC.
I don't have Keno, but I do have other games of the sort. There's only a $10 payout, and the rest is a bar tab.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, people like it. They come in and do it, and it brings people into the bar.
So it makes
The
it
lights are kind
interesting.
of annoying, but it's a unique hobby. I personally don't gamble. I used to go to Vegas a lot, and it just seems stressful to me. Like, I'll pay for a butler, but I'm not gonna risk $20. It's crazy. But yeah, people like it, and one of my strengths and weaknesses is I love to find a way to monetize anything. Bills are expensive. That's why we do offer coffee as well as alcohol, and then we do events at night and events during the day. Rent is expensive, and I mean, insurance is $1,400 for alcohol amongst workers' comp, but I think that we're doing a good job finding that sweet spot of keeping it fun and clean, but also you can still party a little bit.
Right. You mentioned earlier, what are your hours? Like, are you...
During the week, we're open technically 5 to 10. If
Okay.
we're busy, we'll be open till midnight. On some Thursdays, I'm there till 2. On the weekends, Friday, we open a little bit earlier at 3. On Saturday, noon. And on Sunday, noon as well. We do plan to move more to be full day with the coffee program, but my daughter doesn't go back to school until September. So one of the questions y'all had sent me was, what do I view success? And for me, that's not so much as monetary. It is the ability to be able to have freedom. I've never had a real job per se with distinct hours that I couldn't change, and being able to be there for my family and my children has been a luxury that I probably couldn't have purchased without this. So
Right.
Well, thank you for not being at work and coming here and chatting with us.
I'm going in
appreciate
late.
it.
but
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Kaylee's there right now. Thank you, Kaylee.
So what type of events do you do regularly that some of our listeners can come out and enjoy?
We have some pasta classes with What the Fork. She is super talented. They might have
I said
done
they
one
had
here.
one here, yeah.
So actually was the first person to, this is the kind of thing, I mean, reaching out to entrepreneurs, I was like, look, you're killing it. Why don't we do a class at Freya's?
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I've never done that. Well, will you be my test dummy? Like, what do you need from me? And I was like, throw a drink ticket in there and you can keep all your proceeds. So there was no real overhead for her. And if it failed, it failed. And if it crushed it, it would. And it has. And now she's able to do that multiple times a month, doing something she loves. And hopefully I get some free pasta soon too.
Right. That's always a benefit.
So
Like, I don't need the drink ticket. Just give me pasta.
Right.
So what's your favorite kind of pasta?
I helped open Tarantelli's, and that's where they first introduced me to the one that starts with a B. I'm blanking. Oh, pappardelle, pardon. But a homemade pasta, any of them sound great, but I do enjoy a pappardelle ever since I was introduced to it. You can order half portions at Tarantelli's if there's no meat in it. That's a great way to try some of their pastas.
Oh,
I did not
interesting.
know that.
My wife is sitting in the audience here, and that's one of her favorite places to go.
Yeah,
so she's
please
like,
go.
I've still never been.
It's worth it.
Well, Well, the one time I tried to go, I didn't realize that you had to make a reservation. And they were like, yeah, no, we're booked. I was like, oh, I'll try again in 6 months. When I
haven't been to Cousins yet, and I've lived here for forever, but I hear it's awesome. It's like family style, and it sounds really cool. So maybe we'll all go.
We should. I got a pretty big family, and Tyler's has enough kids for all of us.
It's true.
How many kids do you have?
We just have 2.
Okay.
It's the running joke.
They're
Everyone's like
2 and 4, but it feels like there's many more. So
Seriously.
yes.
I got a vasectomy for my birthday.
There you go.
He's like, what do you want?
I was like, let me tell you.
So you know how my pregnancies aren't good? Like, we're not doing this anymore.
Yep.
See, that's a whole nother topic we'll talk about later. So, random thought question.
Love those.
Did you meet your husband at the bar?
I'm a Tinderella.
High five. Wait, was it actually Tinder or was it prior?
So someone actually tried to introduce us, and unfortunately, I had experienced a terrible, in the news, you can Google, it's not fun, domestic violence incident, and they were in Special Forces, and I'd never dated anyone in Special Forces. Like, Haus was the first bar I worked at, and I have a similar type, you know, like I like Sierra Mist, Sprite, Starry, you get it. Yeah. And so after that happened, I was like, I'll never date anyone in the military, like first and last. It wasn't a military thing, but that was just, I had to be mad about something. Yeah. And so someone tried to introduce us, and I was like, yeah, right, never again. And then we actually meet on Tinder, and we go to hang out, and it kind of clicks. He says something, and I'm like, what? Oh, wait. It's actually, like, we don't really talk about it often, but the military did find out. It was like a 3-year-long lawsuit and stuff, and they tried to make it so we couldn't talk. And this was right after my dad had passed. But they kind of made him ghost me during that time. Like, really would have affected his career. So it was like, I lost my dad. I got beat up prior. And then this man, I thought he liked me more than I liked him at first. Like, wait a minute.
And you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, for real. It's like, I can't read anything. And so we actually reconnected. I was leaving a music video shoot downtown, and he was downtown, and we just kept running into each other, and were able to rekindle and kind of fight their system of it. And then, like, a year later, I got pregnant, and they're like, ha ha, you're stuck with me. Right. not him, but the military. And now we have a house, 2 kids, business. It's been about 5 or 6 years. So he's a very quiet and kind guy, probably part of the job. I probably don't say too much about him because they kind of enjoy that. They need that little anonymity for their career, but he's great and keeps us safe and super funny.
So does he work at the bar now?
No, he helps out from time to time. He's still in Special Forces. He's leaving his team to become a sniper instructor for MARSOC. So he'll be home now for 2 years. They usually deploy every year and a half for about 6 or 7 months. So that'll be nice to have him home.
Sounds nicer.
Yeah. I mean, they're still gone a lot. But I'm like, can you pick her up from school? He's like, no, I get home at midnight. Okay, bye.
Okay. See, that was the thing, like, Special Forces, or like military in general, and retail are both, well, same with the bar. Like, it's hard to have a family, and I applaud you for pulling that off. For sure. At least if you work in a bar, you're like, okay, well, technically, if I get home at 3:45, I can sleep for 2 hours and then get the kid to school. Then I'm not there at night.
If you're getting off at that time, too. Like, yesterday I got off at 5. Haha, I got off at 8.
Oh, wow.
I'm really a hands-on owner. I had a basketball coach in middle school, and he said I would never ask of you guys to do something I would not. Granted, if you're in trouble, like, you're running your sprints, but every warm-up he ran with us, and I try to embody that in my business as well. I'm not going to leave during a pop. I only bartend like 2 or 3 nights a week if I'm not helping out or filling in, but I'd like to step away more and focus. And the plumber, the electrician, I do every social media post. Yep. The phone number is my phone number. I know about HVAC now.
See, to me, that's like what good leadership is. It's like, hey, you're here, you're in the shit, just working through it, but you can step back and be like, okay, well, how do we fix this so next time we're not going to have this issue? Or how can we make this better? And like, I think that's great that you were hands-on.
Certainly. I think a lot of that I have to attribute, sadly, to I was hyper independent. I really just have had lots of highs and lows in my life, and it kind of taught me to be independent as a negative. And it wasn't until being so sick during my pregnancies, like I slept in the bathtub. Like I got IVs twice a week at the Cancer Infusion Center. And then after that, it killed my gallbladder. So I had that emergently removed. So I had to lean on people. I've had some awesome friends and mentors that really stepped up without having to ask, which taught me to be comfortable. And now I know that it is a strength to have emotions and be true, because it's only going to get harder. So that has helped with my leadership, is the unfortunate of having to be forced into it.
Huh.
I'm going to steal Chris's random question real quick. So having the bar and being in the service industry, it's kind of a twofold question. Is 1, what is your favorite cocktail? And 2, what is your favorite cocktail to make if it's different?
Okay. My favorite cocktail to make is anything with a really beautiful ice cube that I put something fun in. I really love martinis. I think you can showcase anything. And I know that's an obscure answer because it's not like a flavor profile, but I've kind of built my bartending career around, if you come in the bar, I'm like, do you like vodka, gin, rum, or tequila? Like, all right, sweet, spicy, citrus, and savory, and kind of creating that off the cuff and then making it beautiful is kind of what I'm not a classic cocktail girl. Like, I don't use chartreuse. I don't know. Mana is incredible. I've worked with so many talented bartenders, and I can learn that. It's not my strong suit, but for me, it would just be a pretty cocktail. I know that's like cliche, but like I can make a beautiful old fashioned, and I can add something different to it. But it's for me creating the cocktail that makes you happy and kind of maybe keeps you on your toes. Adding in yesterday, I made a tahini brown sugar rimmed mango margarita.
Oh, that sounds
good. She was like, what?
That's neat.
The guy that actually taught me how to bartend was Anthony Gregarious. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he was awesome, and he was super dry, but he was brilliant. He taught me something every single day. Like, I would come in, he was like, all right, we're learning these 6 cocktails or 6 drinks. Like, he had DVDs. He was ridiculous. I didn't watch those, but he really taught me to just learn it, know how to smell my cocktail. You'll see me smelling a shaker all the time.
Right.
Like, I might not be able to know how much I put in there, but I can know what it needs. If it is some citrus, or it needs a little bit more sweetness, or if it's too spicy, kind of how to mellow that. I don't really work with egg whites. This freak me out.
So you're not a gin fizz person?
No. I was gonna say, I know like it tastes delicious, but as soon as I like smell it, it's like by my nose. I'm like, what is that? Like even some Sauvignon Blancs, I'm like, that smells like BO. It's New Zealand. It must be New Zealand. Yeah. My favorite to drink is shots of Rumplements.
Whoa.
I know.
Really?
I'm a trash panda. I'm a raccoon.
I was going to say, I'm like, that guarantees that you have worked in a bar.
Yeah. I'm not proud of it, but if I'm in a pinch or I'm trying to get there, it's like tequila shots and Rumplements. I really believe in the fact that I like drinks and flavors, but if I'm out drinking, like, I want to get a buzz. And with modeling, I used to try to be cost effective in my calories. So I was like, I got an hour and a half. Y'all are here.
I got to catch up. Let's go. So you pick Rumplements over Malort?
See, I've never even tried Malort. I don't fuck with it. I don't mess with it. Why not?
That's horrible.
You can't say it if you've never tried it.
Because sometimes you're right. Just reading the flavor profile and like the cockroach things and all of that, I'm just like, you know, like I do like Fernet. I'm not a Ferrari girl per se, but like I like Fernet.
Right.
Ferrari is Fernet, and why am I blanking on an Aperol?
Okay. There's a guy at the bar who gets that all the time, and I'm like,
and it's good for you, so it's gonna be all these herbs. There's not a lot of sugar, so it's a smart way to drink. Like, but I'm just gonna rip Rumplements. They just came out with Chili Willy, which is Wilmington Distillery's take on Rumplements, which is evidently less sugar. It's not as syrupy, which I have tried, and it is nice.
Do you have that at the bar?
We do have it from time to time.
Okay.
It is kind of hard to break in. I wanted like a bar that I made all the drinks, and then they're like, psych, your business model's trash. You're going to accommodate. So people are still stuck on the Rumple when they drink it, but I'm good at like sneaking that in, and like if I'm passionate about something, I'll pick it up. I used to like do the influencing and the protein sponsors and bathing suits, but if I don't like it, I can't sell it, and it's a job. But if I really believe in it, I'm like, yo, get that, and it's local. Like, how cool?
Exactly.
But
Yeah, I feel
people
like
are coming around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially in this town, I feel like it'd be easier to be like, hey, this is the same exact thing, except it's made 5 miles down the road.
I think it's cheaper too, and you can buy it from them on Sundays. They make
yeah.
Yeah, because you can go in person and pick it up.
They make a chili willy mojito, and I should make a face because I've never had it, but it scares me.
See, I've hit a point because of this podcast. Like, first off, I didn't drink whiskey really before I started the podcast.
Oh wow!
And it was a running joke because Tyler was like, "Oh, you like whiskey?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
He's like, yeah.
I want to be on a podcast.
Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Got it.
I was like, I don't know anything. Starting it, I've just been like, all right, let's just try things. Even if you don't love it, we'll still try it.
For sure.
And like, it's funny because I go to the bar all the time and they're like, oh wait, you don't like Aperol? And I'm like, not really. Well, it's in this drink, and I'm like, I'll give it another try.
A touch of it is not always the.
Well, I have like, there's something with Aperol that actually like numbs my tongue, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm allergic.
Weird
or
allergens,
it's,
yeah.
Right.
I was like, but let's go with it. Like, I tried to drink
kinda
last
like
night because I looked at the bartender and I'm like, hey, you got this really cute shirt on. It's Chapel Roan. Let's give me a drink that's inspired by her. Because like, she's a whole, like, if you know anything about like music and personalities, she's pretty much like the Chapel Roan is the Lady Gaga of our generation, and Lady Gaga was the Madonna of like our parents.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
What a
But
brilliant
if you think about comparisons, like your parents are like, oh, Madonna, super crazy, weird.
Right.
But then Gaga came out for our age, and
Right.
you're like, Gaga was weird. And Roan is the same thing
I have
for
no
like
clue
the
who this
younger
person is. I'm gonna have to search
We're
it at some
going to,
point.
though.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're gonna learn.
you will. You should listen to
I haven't been spending much time on TikTok as I used to.
No.
Falling out of the Gen Z
China.
era.
the answer. So me and my wife are on different sides of TikTok. So like all of her stuff is Chapel Roan, and all my stuff is like, despite how I act, it's still like random black talk. Yeah. And like it's dances, music, like super silly stuff. But I would say you should definitely listen to Red Wine Supernova.
Okay.
Or if you want like that super like hoppy, hot to go, you should. It's just
I'm a combo
check it
of
out.
all of those kind of music. So I'm a big music head. I used to work at Ziggy's, which is the music venue here, and my mentor is Aaron Flaherty, who is one of the biggest bookers. Not biggest, but to me, he's an incredible booker. He's at the Music Box in Outer Banks, but still does stuff. But my 4-year-old's been to like 30 concerts. I made sure to do 24 by 24 months. Like, I don't have all the pictures of all like everybody sitting there with like the one. I was like, I'll just do 24 concerts. That would be super cool.
See,
That's pretty neat.
I like bounce. Like I don't really go to concerts unless it's like I need to. I had a phase of my life where I'm like, oh, we're going. And then I looked at my bank account and I'm like, okay, well, it's ramen noodles for the next like 6 weeks. But like recently, like we did a Michael Franti because like my wife and her friends go every year.
They gave me the tush baby. I'm the girl in that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. He's such an interesting guy. Like his story, like I didn't realize like his background in general. And
I
I'm
love
like,
that he opens with it too.
I was like, okay, like this is another, like it's a vibe going to him. But this year we're going to like, we're seeing Usher in concert.
Ooh, where?
In Charlotte. Yeah. Well, we saw him at like right before they announced that he was going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, I wonder if he's doing a concert. I was like, oh, and I bought tickets. And then my friend went to buy tickets during the Super Bowl, and they had like,
Yeah, right.
I'm sure.
actually, I bought tickets during Super Bowl. And during halftime show, they spiked like $200-$300, and I'm like, sucks to suck. I didn't pay that much. And we're also seeing Tori Kelly, so I'm trying to like expand my horizons.
Broaden your music horizons.
Yes, I just wish more music that I listen to was coming to Wilmington.
We don't really have that push for it, and which sucks. Like it's more like the indie scene. Like I'm a big reggae girl, and Cullen, that is in Signal Fire, is my old roommate, and
no way.
really good friends of the movement. My other old roommate randomly is Jared Sales, so they've introduced me to so much random music that those boys fight for it. So until we get another promoter or musician that's fighting for it, like Bo is super, super talented. He runs Penguin, and like all that music that he likes, he's super eclectic, but it's like still more his wheelhouse because he likes it. He
Yes.
wants to see it too. When you said like the ramen noodle thing, if I didn't have as many connections as I did, I probably wouldn't have seen 3/4 of it. Like, my daughter thinks she can go backstage all the time. She's like, no, I want to go back to the lake part and like to hang out with the drummer. And I'm like, that's actually not normal, but I would love that for you. So
That's funny.
I love that. So what kind of music? So you said reggae?
Yeah, I'm a big reggae girl.
Who you got? Like,
We just saw Dirty Heads and Iration this past weekend. That was great. I was always really big into Collie Buddz when I was younger. Also, I had no idea he was a white guy. Like, that blew my mind. And then I met him. We were in the Outer Banks, and I had my oldest, she was, I think, 2. And I'm taking a picture. They have in the VIP areas all these crazy lights. It's just beautiful. So I asked this guy to take a picture for me. And I didn't realize at the time that was Collie Budd's manager. So all of a sudden, Collie Budd's gets next to me to take this picture, and like I think I'm a pretty girl. Like, I was like, I guess this guy just wants to take a picture of me. So I'm like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I look over, and I'm like,
Wait.
oh my God. I was like, I love you. and I'm not a fangirl. And I was like, so just beside myself. But the manager was like, oh yeah, she wants a picture with Collie Budd's. But yeah, you would have never, his outfit's everything. But he's great. Yeah, Dirty Heads has been like up there for me as of late. Medusa is my favorite, and they closed with that this last show.
Oh, no.
With my pregnancy with the youngest, I couldn't go to really any shows, and so at the very end, I was like, Dirty Heads was in Raleigh, and I just had been a rough 9 months. I was like, we're going.
Yeah.
I was like, So we go, and there's this picture of us, and I'm super pregnant. John has a shirt with like mushroom butts on it, and we have McKenna. I was like, yeah, we made it. I think we made it through like 4 songs, and I was like, okay, I saw Medusa. We can go
I'm
home
good.
now.
I can go. Oh.
Music saved me a little bit after my dad passed and John being deployed, because being a mom, no one's like, oh, you're bringing your kid out to the bar. That's terrible. But if you bring your kid to a show, like, then you're cool.
Right.
They're like, hell yeah.
Way to go.
What?
People like feel like when they see you out with your children and it's a little bit like later, or you're having even a beer. Like, I've been on an airplane before. My sister is a flight attendant, and I'm having a glass of wine, and the lady's like, I don't know about that. I was just like, what? Like, I'm traveling cross country to Croatia with my like 1.5-year-old, and I'm getting flack instead of I go to a concert, have a beer in my hand, and they're like, you're so cool.
It's so great. So Tyler and I used to work together. I will always remember this lady. She was 9 months pregnant, like waddled in with her mom and was like, hey, I got to buy a push present, and was looking at like Rolexes. And I'm like, I mean, that's a great push present. I'm not going to argue with this. And we're like, hey, do you want some water, some soda? She's like, no, give me a wine. I'm like, she's like, no, I'm like 9 months plus 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, I get it out.
I'm getting this cut out in 2 days. Like, just give it to me. And I just remember like helping him out, and I'm like, this seems so weird.
Yeah. So are we legally allowed to give this to, like?
I mean, there's
well, no
that
one
says we
knows
can't.
about like pregnancy.
Right.
Like, even when you're pregnant, they're like, don't look at the sun. You're like, you might die. You're pregnant.
Yeah.
You're like, but actually, like, technically you're allowed to have, if you will, 1 glass of wine a month per se. And I was so sick, I wanted nothing to do with wine, but sometimes it'll help you with labor or to stall labor. Like, so it's actually can be helpful for that.
See, I've also heard of
Dark beer.
No. My brain just went. And not getting drunk the whole time while you're pregnant, but like having a glass, just like.
Oh, yeah, like
casual
relaxation, yeah.
Yeah, stress and cortisol levels can significantly affect things. I don't think that alcohol per se is like an aid for that, but if like people that's like awful but like smoked a bunch of cigarettes, if they become pregnant, they're not like go cold turkey. That'll actually send their body into more shock. They kind of have to like wean themselves off it. And so gay. People used to drink all the time back in the day.
Say,
like, don't do it now, but like, you're all right. A lot of people
okay.
don't even know they're pregnant until like super late. Yeah. I knew immediately because I threw up. I was like,
that's what
I done did it.
It was parents and moms used to smoke all the time, and I will
Doctors
always
used to tell
remember
you.
this. Yeah. Well, I remember there's a scene
It's
on
the
Hairspray.
gloves. It's the. Have you ever seen the dish gloves? They
No.
would smoke with their gloves, so they'd take it off, and they wouldn't smell of cigarettes when they came inside. They had their smoking coat and the dishwasher glove.
That's right.
That is interesting. No, in Hairspray, I remember like the one that came out in the 2000s. So she was walking down the street singing, and like there were these ladies sitting in a bar smoking, and they rolled around and they were like full on pregnant. And I was like, yep, this is the 60s. 100%.
Even car seats and stuff. Like, I don't believe in survivor fallacy, which is like we did that for my kid and they survived. Like, we want to do better for our children.
Yes,
but everyone's going to judge you across the board. Obviously, don't smoke cigarettes and get drunk when you're pregnant. But being pregnant sucked for me. And there's no real like aid medically and stuff. So I've learned a lot about what medicines can be helpful and the natural alternatives. But and we're like, oh, pregnancy is great. Like, I'm not the one to talk to. Like, it's great for other people, but, like, I'm not the one.
Well, and it's nice, too, because, like, having the podcast, yes, one, I learned how to drink and enjoy new flavors and try everything. But we've also met a bunch of, like, natural medicine people and, like, naturopaths and people that awesome. Because, one, I'm not pushing a kid out. So I don't know good or bad. But, like, meeting these people have made me think, like oh, well, you probably should go see like a holistic doctor, like if you're having issues. Honestly. Or check out somebody that's not just a basic physician who's going to be like, oh yeah, just pop like 6 aspirin.
They're just so staunch, and that's what makes it so hard. I feel like I would have had more success with my first had I been able to have Eastern and Western medicine collide. Instead, I was like lying to my Eastern medicine doctor because I also had a midwife. And they're like, so basically I was listening to what they were both saying and being like, all right, that sounds crazy. This one sounds great. Also, that seems unsafe too. But if they were to work together, they could even, I mean, 2 heads are better than one regardless, but sometimes you do need an antibiotic. Like other times you can use like gentium violet. Like I don't know what that is. I didn't until I had to use it recently for my daughter. It's antiviral, anti-flush. Yep. You can get it at Lovey's, which that place is awesome. But naturopaths are great. Our insurance is garbage. So besides getting a wellness check, like I think people need to look into gut health more so. But that's why we try to at the bar use a lot of like natural ingredients and stuff. Like obviously we have some like ridiculous things like that. I can't break people off the Rumplemans, but instead of these syrups, I made a pumpkin pie syrup this weekend for an espresso martini, and it's just a pumpkin pie puree, pumpkin pie spice, brown sugar or honey, and some hot water. And it's not shelf stable, so we have to use it or toss it, but it's so much cleaner, and I think it tastes better too.
Right. Oh, it's so delicious. That was my like crutch all last fall. So like. Everyone knows my favorite bar. If you don't know, check all the things I tag. And they did a pumpkin pie espresso martini, and then they did like they made their own foam and like put it on the top.
Yes.
And you're like, do I need this?
That's a brilliant idea, though. No, even like a creme brulee topper. Like, I'm not allowed to have a torch. The Poorhouse, I'll never forget. I'm like 21. I maybe bartended like a week. These guys are like, let's do Flamin' Dr. Peppers. Like, they don't even make 151 anymore. If they do make it, they don't sell it. We can't buy it.
Not in North Carolina.
Yeah, and so I'm lighting it on fire, and then this guy knocks it over, and the whole bar's on fire. No. And I'm like, so I'm a little pyro, so I don't keep a torch in the bar. I just think things could get out of hand.
Safe enough. Yeah. We already kind of talked about Chris's typical question of what success looks like for you. So one of my final questions is, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Thick thighs save lives. Being an athlete, that was one thing I didn't like. And now I'm like, what? What a waste of my time. Like, but it's okay to be sad and feel things. Okay. And you're not always angry. You're missing something, and things will always get better.
I like it. Very good.
Yes. So my last question is, well, second to last question. What's a book you've read recently that you actually liked?
I was actually reading a book about financial stability for children and how to approach that. I grew up in a very well-off area, but money was kind of utilized. You had it and you didn't. It could be taken away. And after my dad passed, I learned so many things and taxes. I just felt, how am I so smart and I don't know anything? So that's actually been a different passion of mine, is learning that. So I've been learning how to incorporate that at a young age for my children. And my 4-year-old has a credit card in her name. But
nice.
I haven't read any fun books. I used to be a Harry Potter girl, but I've only been reading like branding books. Like I am in my grind era. Like I described the next probably 2 years and compilation of 3 in total being my grind years. Like, I'm trying to get my doctorate, if you will, for my business.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic.
really, if I'm not learning anything from it, I'm not reading it right now. Yeah.
Understandable.
I love that concept too. Sorry, just to chime in real quick. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. His name's Alex Hormozy, but that's kind of what he was talking about too. He was like, anything worth doing, you need to like just jump in, and like that's what your life is for like 2 to 3 years. Just do it.
You can be tired any day. Why not be tired of something that creates success for you?
Right.
Yeah.
Like everything in life is going to the gym is hard. Sometimes getting out of bed is hard for me.
Right.
So I might as well like dedicate myself to something I'm proud of. Children changed a lot for me. My first wasn't planned, but now that I have something to push for and show for, it's been super helpful.
Nice. So we know your business, but where can people follow you guys, like your events and all the fun stuff you're putting on?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook are honestly your best bet. I still haven't finished the website, and by that I haven't finished putting the money in my bank account to pay for the website.
Understandable.
And it changes so much because I am a one-woman team. Food trucks and events are canceling daily and weekly, and not on purpose. You know, like things happen in life, and I pride myself in being understanding. So I might add 4 events the week prior. So right now it doesn't make sense to me, which the older community doesn't like, but we're super active on Facebook and Instagram. You'll always know each week, but you might not be able to plan 2 weeks in an event or in advance unless it is an event. And again, my phone number is the model for everything. You can text me. I don't care. I'll text you back and call you back.
And spell out Freya for
It
the
is-
people who aren't.
Yeah, it is FREYA_S, new word HAUS.
Cool.
Can you tell I voice to text a lot?
Yes.
Right.
I'm like, unfortunately, I know how to spell Freya's house because I'm that kid who like liked random mythology.
It's great, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my wife into it. It's a slow start.
Freya drove a golden chariot with 2 blue cats. Like they put out a really beautiful article about us in Topsail magazine. Super flattering, and I don't think I've ever have blushed like that. But they do a lot of talking about Freya and the honeymoon and all of that. That's how we have created Friday, and Freya, and Odin was her husband, and he was like a warrior. So it kind of all ties into our family and all of that good stuff. But she was a baddie. They were going to take down some of the trees, and I called Novant, and I was like, look, I will Lorax myself to a tree. Like, Freya's the goddess of war and love. Like, what do I love? The trees. We're going to go to war. But needless to say, we kept them. And so just my business model is Freya fights for things she believes in, and that is something I hope to continue to do with the bar, and just Operation Pretty Things has been helpful for domestic violence, and we've done a lot with foster families, but any time and place we can help, we strive to do so.
I love that.
great.
Thank you. You got any?
I think that's all the questions I had for you today. Thank you so much for coming in. We greatly appreciate your time today and taking some time away from the bar.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Have fun at the bar. If you guys are here and you got free time afterwards, go check out Freya's house. For those who weren't here today and you caught us on YouTube or on social media, go check them out throughout the week. You'll probably find me there at some point because it's a lot closer to my house than some other places. So I'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.